First of all, I would like to say thank you to inviting me to the 3rd European Naturopathic Congress. What a fitting title, Health Promotion in a Pandemic, the Naturopathic Contribution to Community Health. It has been wonderful to see and to hear about all the great activities that have happened in Europe in the naturopathic profession in the last year, the community clinics that have opened up in Italy and Slovenia, and the opportunity that you guys have really taken to get together and to chat on a monthly basis. This is wonderful. What I would like to do as president of the World Naturopathic Federation is to take a moment and to share with you what the next steps are that we see happening within the WNF. So I'm going to just share my screen and then to take you through some slides. So when we look at what lies ahead for the naturopathic profession from a WNF perspective, let's just start off with the WNF mission statement. Our mission statement was set in 2015, and it really hasn't changed. It's to support the growth and diversity of the naturopathic profession around the world, support regulation, promote accreditation and the highest educational standards in each country, encourage and support quality naturopathic research, make sure we have a really good sense of the resources that are out there and that we have a database of who actually is in the naturopathic profession, and then building international alliances. When we look at the size of the naturopathic profession, the more we look into this, the bigger the profession is, the stronger it is. There's roughly 100 countries that we know that practice naturopathy. There's over 10,000 naturopaths and naturopathic doctors. When we look at national organizations, there's over 70, and more than half of those are WNF full members. There's 131 naturopathic educational programs, at least around the world. We have regional organizations in North America and India, and in other countries as well. And we have over 25 naturopathic research centers, and then other specialty organizations. So we have a phenomenal size and a phenomenal breadth to the naturopathic profession. What I want to do is talk about what we see as what's next for the WNF. So we're going to chat about the health technology assessment, which we've been focusing on for the last 4 years. We're going to look at what's going on from a naturopathic research point of view, membership, sponsorship, educational programs, support for the public that we are doing that we hope you will share with your members in your community as well, supporting the growth of naturopathic community clinics and international alliances. So every 2 years, we look at creating a strategic plan, which just more or less tells all of our members this is where our focus is. So this is in line pretty much what we just chatted about, growing membership, sponsorship, helping regulations, really helping position the naturopathic profession as being experts in environmental health and conditions like non-communicable diseases. So if we look at where we are from a regulatory point of view right now, globally in the naturopathic profession, there are 36 countries that have some form of naturopathic regulation. 67% of that do it as regulation of the profession, which is of course what we prefer. With some of those that's under traditional complementary medicine, the regulation from that, and some of it is specific regulation for the naturopathic profession. 19% have regulation of practitioners and the licensing of practitioners. And then 14% have the regulation of practice. And sometimes that means that the ability for naturopathic practitioners to actually use naturopathic medicine is limited. And in other places, it's actually allows them to practice more freely. So we have, that's a big area. Of the countries that have specific training outlined in the regulations, the majority have required more than 4,000 hours of training. What do we see happening next in naturopathic regulation? First and foremost, the publication and dissemination of the health technology assessment that we're doing will create a wonderful foundation for those organizations that are looking at enhancing the regulation or moving forward with regulation. So that will be a big step. And once we have that published, we will put a lot more things in place. We are looking at creating a regulatory regulation committee, and it will be chaired by Toby Pinder from Australia. You'll hear more of that in the next few months. And the other one is to do whatever we can to support full members in their regulatory efforts. From a membership point of view, where are we right now? Well, thanks very much to Tina Hosser, who has been the chair of the WNF Membership Committee from the beginning. Our membership, we have representation in all world regions. We have 37 full members. The membership of the WNF continues to grow, and we are very pleased and proud, and we are doing what we can to support that growth. This gives you an idea of where the growth has been. So if we look at the numbers in 2021, we have 69 members, 40 countries, 18 sponsors. The breakdown is 35 full members, 23 educational, 11 associate. So that continues to grow, and we are, of course, very grateful for that. That's what keeps the WNF alive and afloat. What do we see happening next with respect to membership? One is really looking at growing the full member representation with a focus in Europe, Africa, and Latin America, and increasing the educational representation with a focus in Europe and India. There's over 40 naturopathic educational institutions in India, and we really want to start folding those into the mix. And there's also some great opportunities for us to grow the educational representation in Europe. The other thing that we'll be looking at is to increasing opportunities for members to be part of committees and to really help give their input and to hear what's going on more completely from a WNF point of view. If we look at it from an educational perspective, earlier this year we published the WNF Naturopathic Education report, which was based on 2 years of analyzing data and getting input from naturopathic educational programs. So that is great. So currently there is 5 different naturopathic programs. What we see happening in the future is moving to, there will be probably more like 3 programs, one around 2,500 hours, one over 4,000 hours, and then a bridge program for those practitioners that already have a designation, whether in chiropractic or conventional medicine or osteopathy, who want to also do naturopathy. We have been in touch with the WHO, and there's been conversations to say in the next few years to update the benchmarks and training for naturopathy with a move to, instead of the minimum standards being 1,500 hours, the minimum standards being 2,500 hours. So that's in conversation, and that supports what we're finding from an educational perspective, where the majority of naturopathic programs around the world right now are over 4,000 hours. So it's not about standardizing the naturopathic education, but it is about recognizing that practitioners that have 2,500 hours of training, that they are more likely to get regulated. And then so you have the practitioner level training and then the doctor level training at 4,000 hours. So it's supporting both of those. So supporting naturopathic educational programs and increasing the educational standards within their country, and helping Europe, for example, have more consistency across the countries, and to really figure out what they want to do from an educational point of view. The other thing that we think that the WNF will be able to do is to help build collaboration between naturopathic educational institutions to help them increase standards and to share resources more fully. From a research point of view, there has been a tremendous amount of research done in the naturopathic profession. We have done a lot of work in identifying how much research we actually have. When we did the bibliometric analysis, which is looking at the amount of naturopathic research that has been done by naturopathic practitioners, we came with over 2,200 articles. There have been 2 other bibliometric researches on traditional complementary medicine done recently, and the one done on naturopathic research far exceeds what other professions are doing within TNCM. So this is wonderful. So we will continue to be doing that. Our biggest focus over the last few years has really been the health technology assessment. We are weeks away from having the draft done for final review. We had originally planned that it would be about 400 pages. It's going to be about 600 pages. What is unique about a health technology assessment is it's a summary of the research outlining and supporting naturopathic globally using only naturopathic research. So as a naturopathic profession, we can't say, for example, that we treat autoimmune disease if we've never researched it. The main thing that governments use and policymakers use the HTA for is to determine how they're going to regulate a profession. So this really will provide the foundational basis for governments to look and say, okay, this is what the naturopathic profession is about. So this is great. It will be published in 2021. All WNF members will receive a copy in some way. We will ensure that we get it to you. And we really do want to thank, first of all, NHWA in Australia in helping to fund the HTA, but also the 50 different reviewers and people who helped write sections of this HTA. So what's next for the naturopathic profession? Once we're done the HTA, is to distribute it broadly, is to ensure that we work with full members in getting this out to ministers of health and that schools and that. So we have a consistent idea that says this is the research that supports the profession. The key aspects of the HTA have been published as separate papers. This trend will continue. The benefit of this is that we are able to highlight community clinics, for example, and the role they play in the naturopathic profession. We're able to highlight the important role that naturopathic practitioners use when it comes to working and using the information they receive from patients when making an assessment and when deciding on the treatment plan. So there is a lot of wonderful information within the HTA that will be included not only in that document, but as separate documents that we will publish. What we hope to do, or what our plan is from there, is to then look at key position papers that are done and looking at, let's say, for example, the naturopathic research support for cardiovascular disease or for diabetes. And what we are hoping to do is that when we have talked to national associations, let's say, for example, with me in Canada, the Canadian Diabetes Association, they're saying in order for us to really integrate the research and integrate naturopathic practice into this, we need to know the research. So we will look at collecting some of those for some of the key conditions that we have a substantial amount of research for, and then providing that as a guide for members to then work with their associations. So if they're, the Diabetes Association in Spain or the Cardiovascular Association in Germany, for example. So we'll be working with that. So we want to also really help research efforts in naturopathic educational institutions. So that is something we'll be putting a big focus on, is so that if other groups want to get involved in research but don't have the resources or the infrastructure for it, we will help bridge that. We will help look at that. So the WNF, as we move into regulatory efforts and helping with that, we will also look at consolidating the research. Every country that looks at regulation has unique requirements, has unique information that the government asks for. So we will help looking at seeing if we can consolidate some of that information. The other things that the WNF is looking at is what we call community resources. So we have done the rapid reviews. I believe Tina Hosser is going to speak more on that. We've done an animated video on establishing a healthy lifestyle. Anybody who's working with educational programs, with schools, that sort of thing, this is a wonderful video, and they're translated into, I believe, 5 languages to really help that. We have the antimicrobial resistance website. We have the environmental pollutants website, which gives us huge amount of resources on the naturopathic approach to those conditions. We also have an animated video on environmental pollutants. That again is great if people want to use that to help educate the public as to where this is, where it is. We do want to look at growing community clinics, and that's, like I said earlier, the fact that there has been some movement in Europe and Italy and Slovenia in community clinics. It's just wonderful to see that happening. The other thing we're looking at doing, similar to the environmental pollutants website, is do a similar type of website on non-communicable diseases and looking at the research behind that to really support people. So there is a lot going on. This is just an overview of some of the publications that have happened. The one thing I really do want to highlight is that the amount of contribution from the membership in creating white papers and in the translation of documents the WNF has done. So the white paper that the WNF did on the role of naturopathic practice within a global pandemic, the fact that it was translated into French, Slovenian, Portuguese, Italy, German, and Spanish was fabulous. And that contribution, it really does help position the WNF and the naturopathic profession it's in such wonderful ways. So we really do appreciate that. So that is what's going on. We really do encourage you to stay abreast of what's going on with the WNF. there is a lot of activity going on with regards to social media and all of the posts that we're doing. We want to share more stories. We want to, when you open things, if you open a community clinic, if you're doing research that is wonderful, share it with us, and we will ensure that it's shared through social media. That the whole idea is to help bridge the naturopathic profession and to share the resources that we all have, and together we can make the naturopathic profession stronger, and we can really take advantage of this renewed interest in naturopathic practice and in what naturopathic practitioners can do for overall health. So thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to you having a wonderful conference. You take care, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Prav lep pozdrav in dobrodošli na 3. naturopatski kongres. Letos spletni, zaradi pandemije, ki navidezno naj bi ločila države Evrope, naj bi omejevala dostop med državami, vendar prav v tem času je naturopatija dobila svojo moč in svojo povezanost. Morate vedeti, da naturopatija je nastala v Evropi, govorimo o Knajpu, Sebastianu, govorimo o Benediktu Lustu, tako je jo prenesel potem v Ameriko, v Združenih državah Amerike, kamor se je potem razširila. Govorimo o sveti Hildegardi. Torej, naturopatija je nastala v Evropi, potem zaradi te evropske raznolikosti med jeziki, recimo samo in državami, se je nekako tako izgubila na moči in zdaj ponovno zaživi. Čar naturopatije je zato, da je učinkovita, da dejansko pomaga vzročnostno in zelo hitro in zelo učinkovito. Naturopatija je razširjena po celi Evropi. Jaz sem predsednica odbora za Evropo v Svetovni naturopatski organizaciji. Imamo vse države smo združene skupaj, torej Slovenija, Italija, Španija, Portugalska, Nemčija, Francija in tako naprej. Polno držav je, ki sodeluje naturopatu, ki sodelujejo skupaj na evropski ravni. Zelo lepo je izmenjati si mnenja. Imamo tudi šole naturopatske po celi Evropi, ki so tudi pač certificirane, akreditirane se strani Svetovne naturopatske organizacije, torej garantirano določeno kvaliteto znanja in izobraževanja. Čar naturopatije je, da deluje vzročnostno in da je multidisciplinarna, da je dejansko povezana z vsemi temi tehnikami, torej imamo nedoločene tehnike razpoznavanja težav in nedoločene naturopatske tehnike uravnavanja težav. So vse naravne. Moč narave je tista, ki nas združuje, vse naturopate Evrope in seveda tudi sveta. Narava je tista, ki potrebuje sedaj pomoč, toksinije zemlje je zelo velika, zato tudi pljuča sveta gorijo, tako kot pljuča našega telesa imajo zdaj velike težave. In naturopatija, narava je tista, ki je človeku, iz katere izhajamo, ki je naša tolažnica in naša pomočnica in iz katere dobivamo moč, vseh učinkovin, vseh zelišč in vseh naravnih tehnikah uravnavanja telesa in zagotavljanja homeostaze telesa. Zato se moramo k njej zateči. Naturopat nas pa nauči, kako si z njo pomagamo in kako z njo uravnavamo homeostazo našega telesa. Verjamem, da je naturopatija učinkovita tehnika, zelo prodorna in v veliko pomoč. Poznamo naturopate v Evropi, ki so naturopati, ki so tudi zdravniki. Lepo sodelujemo skupaj. Z naturopatijo lahko krepimo telo, na krepko telo se malo katera bolezen prime, malo kateri virus prime. Zelo pomembno je higiena spanja, higiena prehranjevanja in športna aktivnost. To je tisto, kar na naše zdravje vpliva približno v 80%. Naturopat te uči, kako v poplavi, kako si pomagati, kako se prebrati, kako uravnavati svoje telo, da doživimo osebno moč, ker naše telo ima dosti energije, ima dosti moči, tako aktiviramo osebni potencial, osebno moč telesa, ki je fizična in je tudi psihološko emocionalna. Torej, bolj ko bo telo zdravo, pH telesa pravilen, bolj bojo tudi naši možgani zbrani pri sebi in ne bomo imeli težav z nobenim stresom, bomo stres lepše, lažje doživljali. Tako da naturopatija je dejansko naša bodočnost, ker diha in sodeluje eno z našo mati zemljo in ji tudi pomaga. In ona zdaj potrebuje prav pomoč glede na vse to, kar se okoli nas dogaja. Zato lepo vas pozdravljam na tem 3. naturopatskem kongresu in mislim, da bo vsak od vas našel nekaj zase in za krepiti svoje zdravje sam doma. Tako da lep pozdrav in hvala, da ste z nami in da podpirate naturopatijo.
Hola, muy buenos días y bienvenido a este tercer Congreso Europeo de Naturopatía, que tras los éxitos conseguidos en los anteriores congresos, recordemos que el primero lo celebramos en Roma, el segundo lo celebramos en Madrid y este tercero, por las circunstancias que ya todos conocemos, pues lo vamos a hacerlo vía online, en donde vamos a presentar pues, la intervención naturopática dentro de un elemento clave dentro del área de conocimiento que denominamos naturopatía normativa, como es la promoción de la salud, y su plasmación en la salud comunitaria dentro de todo este proceso que actualmente pues, estamos viviendo. Es una aportación importante y necesaria de la naturopatía en los momentos actuales. Por lo tanto, este congreso tiene estos objetivos concretos, este planteamiento de la promoción de la salud comunitaria, ya que una de esas áreas donde el naturópata interviene es la atención primaria de salud principalmente, porque también estamos considerados como agentes de atención primaria de salud. Por lo tanto, todo esto en este congreso se va a presentar con ponentes de alta calidad, ponencia con también un alto nivel pedagógico y científico y dentro del marco conceptual de la naturopatía dentro de la intervención naturopática. Y con el lema de este congreso, la profesión naturopática europea aporta los elementos para el desarrollo de la salud a nivel de toda la Unión Europea y de la Europa en general. Por lo tanto, un día los profesionales naturópatas estamos trabajando en este espacio europeo profesional de naturopatía, con muchos elementos como las demás profesiones, y aquí lo vamos a concretarlo en este lema tan interesante, la intervención naturopática. Y en este proceso pues, se han invitado pues, a los profesionales naturópatas a nivel europeo más especializados en este tema, para que la visión sea muy concreta, muy especializada, muy realista y basada en el método científico y las experiencias que ellos están realizando en algunos países con respecto al lema de este tercer Congreso Europeo de Naturopatía. Así pues, estas ponencias que presentamos en este congreso que se va a celebrar durante este sábado, durante todos los días, tienen una gran importancia por lo que estamos comentando. En las ponencias pues, están representantes de prácticamente todos los países europeos, de las asociaciones profesionales de naturópatas que son miembros de la Federación Mundial de Naturopatía y otros invitados. Porque aunque el marco profesional actual es dentro de la Unión Europea, pero también otros países, como el caso de Suiza o Noruega, que también participan en este congreso, que no son miembros de la Unión Europea actualmente, pues dentro de ese marco europeo de la naturopatía, pues todas las asociaciones profesionales naturópatas, como digo, miembros de la Federación Mundial de Naturopatía, pues participamos en este tercer congreso europeo con este objetivo que remarco que es muy importante, como es la promoción de la salud, que en el hecho conlleva lo que es la contribución de la naturopatía a la salud comunitaria en general. Y esto es un tema muy importante y un área donde la naturopatía tiene una importancia sustancial y esencial. Así que bienvenido a este tercer Congreso Europeo de Naturopatía, a disfrutarlo, a pasarlo bien. Y también importante remarcar esto, en el chat, viene puesto aquí, ya que se está retransmitiendo por las redes sociales, pues a través de los chats, a través de los correos electrónicos, pues comunicar cualquier comentario, cualquier crítica, cualquier duda que haya, iremos respondiendo, evidentemente en todos los idiomas que nos escriban, que no hay problema ninguno, y a partir de ahí pues el debate nos enriquece bastante, a aportar ideas en ese proceso que estamos ahora mismo, toda la profesión naturopática europea, de ese espacio, se llama ese espacio europeo de la profesión naturopática, pues ya con objetivos muy interesantes, que a partir de este congreso pues lo vamos a ir desarrollando. Así que bienvenido y a disfrutar de este día, de las ponencias de grandes profesionales de la naturopatía europea.
Dear professionals and friends of naturopathy, on behalf of the Norwegian Association of Natural Medicine, NNH, I would like to thank WNF for the work they do to promote naturopathy in Europe and around the world. This Congress is an example of how we can meet across national borders, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic. Our association is grateful to have been warmly received as a full member in the WNF in May this year. This gives us an opportunity to share knowledge, experience, and new ideas with all of you and learn from each other. In Norway, like in several other countries, we are currently fighting against destructive political forces that do not see the value the naturopathy adds to the population health. In September, there will be parliamentary elections in Norway, and we hope that we will have a new government that will give our people a future-oriented and inclusive health policy. NNH will continue to work systematically, targeted, and proactively. Our goal is to make the new government show action and facilitate a good framework conditions for our therapists, educational institutions, and organizations in this field. In Norway, we are lucky to have a national research center in complementary and alternative medicine called NAFCAM, which NNH collaborates with. The World Health Organization redesignated in 2020 NAFCAM as a collaborating center for another 4 years. Standing together globally and regionally is the only way to succeed in our work. The pandemic has shown us how important it is to focus on knowledge about health-promoting measures and safeguarding one's own health. We wish you all good luck with the important task we all have ahead, and we are looking forward to work together with you. Thank you.